The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
Hacham Ovadia Yosef, Zecher Sadiq V'Kadosh Bracha, had a very good friend when they were in yeshiva together in Porat Yosef, and his name was Hacham Baruch ben Chaim, the chief rabbi of the Syrian community right here in Brooklyn, New York. Hacham Baruch ben Chaim. Around 20 plus years ago, unfortunately, Hacham Baruch ben Chaim, I believe he had a heart attack. And he was in the hospital. And the family, the friends, Talmidim, they went to the doctors, they wanted to see, how is the rabbi doing? So the doctor said, we have the heart under control, but the lungs, we're not managing to control. We're having trouble with the lungs. So somebody in the Asifa, in the meeting that they had, said, what's the problem? One of the top lung specialists is a doctor in New York City. He's Jewish. We'll ask him to come heal the rabbi. Do you mind? The doctor said, Bechavod, you can bring the top lung specialist over here. B'simcha rabba, we'll learn from him. So they called the top lung specialist in the hospital in New York City, and they say, hi, our name is so-and-so, our Rabbi Hacham Baruch ben Chaim is not feeling well, and we need a lung specialist, could you please come? And he says, I'm sorry, I can't come. What do you mean you can't come? The rabbi needs a lung specialist. Why can't you come see the rabbi? He says, I'm sorry, I have no time. How much could we pay you? He says, it's not a matter of money. I don't need money. I don't have time, I'm sorry. End of conversation. They got back together and they're starting to think, what could we do to get Hacham Baruch the medical attention? How could we get the rabbi better? So into the meeting comes Hacham David Yosef. And he's the one that told me the story a few weeks ago when I was in Eretz HaKodesh. And he said, what's the matter? What's going on? So they said, Hacham Baruch needs a lung specialist. It happens to be one of the top lung specialists in the world, is in New York City, but we can't get him. He says, do you mind if I speak to him? I'll talk to him. Maybe I can tell him to come. So he said, they started laughing. We offered him money. He couldn't come. He couldn't come for money. What are you going to tell him? He said, I'll say, my father's Hacham Ovadia Yosef. B'zchut Hacham Ovadia, maybe he could come. So they said, if he wouldn't come for money, how is it going to help that your father is Hacham Ovadia Yosef? We told him, Flus, how much you want? We'll write a check. Tell us. He's not coming for money. Why do you think he would come for your father? So he says, do you mind if I try? He said, Bechavod, you want to try? Try. So he calls his father, Hacham Ovadia Yosef, and he says, Abba, do you mind if I use your name to speak to a doctor to get Hacham Baruch the medical attention that he needs? He says, please, Bechavod, talk to the doctor, tell him my name. So he calls the lung specialist, and he says, hi, my name is Hacham David Yosef. I'll add the prefix. And he says, I'm the son of Hacham Ovadia Yosef. Did you ever hear of him? And the doctor says, who didn't? He says, my father's very good childhood friend is Hacham Baruch ben Chaim. He needs a lung specialist. Could you please come and see the rabbi? Maybe he could help with your medical experience. And the doctor says, no problem. There's only one issue. I finish over here at 5, and I have to be somewhere at 9 o'clock. I have 4 hours, but by the time I go from the city to Brooklyn, I'll already waste a lot of time with the traffic. I won't be able to give the rabbi the attention. So someone in the meeting said, I'll get him a police escort straight from New York City. I'm connected. I'll get him straight. I'll have a police escorting him the whole way. And sure enough, that's what happened. And at 5:30, he was by Hacham Baruch's bedside. He's looking at the rabbi's file. He sees what they're doing. And he starts giving them a recipe, a regimen, how to treat the rabbi for the next few days. He says, tomorrow you do this, the day after you do this. I'll come back in a few days, I'll come visit the rabbi. And in the meantime, the doctors over there had instructions, precisely what to do. Sure enough, a few days later, Baruch Hashem, Hacham Baruch opened up his eyes, and he lived for a few more years after that, Chazdei Hashem. So someone went to the doctor and he says, I don't understand. We offered you money, you didn't come. And we said Hacham Ovadia's name, and you came. Do you know Hacham Ovadia Yosef? He says, no, not really. So why did you come for Hacham Ovadia Yosef? He says, let me tell you a story. A few years ago, he says, his son, the doctor's son, went to Eretz Yisrael. He went to go visit. And unfortunately, he was standing next to a suicide bomber when he exploded. And they rushed the boy to the hospital. They called his parents from America. They flew in to see their son by Hadassah and Kerem. And the doctor went to go visit his own son, and he saw that they're doing what they need to do, Baruch Hashem. And now he wanted to go, Hishtadlut Mitzad Ruchniyut, to go to Gedolei Yisrael, to go to the Tzaddikim and ask for berachot. And he went from Gadol to Gadol, asking them for berachot. He went from Rav Yosef, all the Gedolim, and his last stop was Hacham Ovadia Yosef, Gadol Be Yisrael, Morenu V'Rabbeinu. And he's sitting next to Hacham Ovadia. They told him this man, his son is in the hospital, he's not feeling well. So he said, what hospital is he in? He told him he's in Hadassah in Kerem. Hadassah, Hacham Ovadia inquires, is the driver here? Is the car here? He said, yes, the driver is here. He says, Yalla, we're going. And he goes downstairs with the doctor that he probably never saw before in his life, into his car. They drive Hacham Ovadia Yosef to Hadassah in Kerem. He goes upstairs. He visits the doctor's son. He asks for a chair. He sits down next to his bed. And the doctor says, I saw behind Hacham Ovadia's tinted glasses that he was crying. A man that came to my son's bedside, a man that cried for my son. I'm not going to go heal his best friend. For Hacham Ovadia Yosef, I'll go heal his best friend. So Hacham David told Hacham Ovadia Yosef the story. He said, Rabbi, you remember years ago what happened? Look what happened because of this. He came and he went to go see Hacham Baruch. Hacham Ovadia Yosef said, that's what Shlomo HaMelech said. Shlach lachmecha al penei hamayim, ki berov hayamim timsa'enu. Throw your bread into the ocean because you're going to see it come back. Of course we do l'shem shamayim. We have to realize that when we do chesed for others, you think you're helping somebody else. The biggest one that you're helping is really just ourselves.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org